In the winter of 1873, in a shadowed basement in Odessa, a black mother gave birth to twins unlike any the city had ever seen. Pale-skinned, fragile, and anomalous, they defied the social and racial norms of the time. The birth went almost unrecorded, whispers spreading quietly through the city while official records refused acknowledgement. Today, we trace the earliest accounts, the preserved documents, and the eerie observations that mark the beginning of the twins' haunting presence. This is a story of fear, secrecy, and the fragile line between recorded history and forgotten legend. Odessa, winter, 1873. In the shadowed basement of a modest dwelling located in the southern quarter of the city, a woman named Maria Dubois gave birth to twin daughters. Maria was of African descent, her skin darkened by years of exposure to the sun and toil. Her arms and shoulders bore visible scars, the result of past labor and injury. The basement itself was sparsely furnished, its floor strewn with straw and remnants of previous occupants' belongings. The walls, constructed of brick and timber, were coated with soot from years of stove and candle use. A single lantern illuminated the scene until, at the moment of birth, it slipped from the midwife's grasp and fell to the floor, extinguishing its flame. Darkness filled the room, leaving only the persistent sound of the newborn's cries to mark the occasion. The twins were pale, nearly translucent in complexion. Their skin stood in stark contrast to that of their mother, creating a visual anomaly noted by the midwife and any witnesses present. Maria held them close, her hands trembling as she adjusted to their presence. The infant's eyes, partially open, reflected the dim lantern light in ways that seemed unnatural to the onlookers. No official records, civil or ecclesiastical, documented the birth. Witnesses did not approach city authorities, nor were any church registers amended. In every available registry, the event is absent. Observers described a sense of unease in the immediate aftermath. Neighbors' letters and personal diaries, which survive in fragmentary form, reference whispers regarding the birth. There are mentions of the mother appearing fatigued, her movements slow, as though the weight of both childbirth and societal scrutiny bore upon her. These entries avoid direct judgment, but confirm that the event was noticed. No direct intervention from local officials is recorded. The basement, where the birth occurred, had a history of being overlooked in municipal inspections. Previous tenancy records indicate short-term occupation by families of limited means. Structural documents reveal that the southern quarter of Odessa was largely neglected by city authorities during this period, with minimal surveillance and inconsistent enforcement of housing codes. The area was also socially segregated, with wealthier families residing in the northern quarters and commercial districts. As such, events within the southern quarter, particularly within its smaller dwellings, often escaped formal notice. Maria Dubois herself had a documented presence in the city prior to the birth. Tax records, census data, and parish records indicate her residence in the southern quarter for at least a decade. Her occupation, listed in census entries, involved domestic labor for multiple households in the district. Previous property records indicate minor disputes over tenancy, but no criminal or civil offenses are associated with her name. Her personal history, therefore, is verifiable, but remains limited in scope. The twins' pallor and health were recorded only in the midwife's ledger. The ledger, surviving in partial form, notes 2 infants, female, delivered without immediate complications other than mild respiratory distress. No further observations are included. The midwife's notes indicate the use of standard practices for the period, the application of warmth, clearing of airways, and monitoring for initial feeding. No subsequent records from municipal health authorities reference follow-up care. Odessa during this period was characterized by a duality of wealth and neglect. Official city documents emphasize commerce, port activity, and taxation, but provide scant attention to residential conditions in the southern districts. Social stratification is evident in municipal budgets, policing reports, and urban planning documents. These records illustrate a city divided between order and oversight in its northern areas and informally administered southern districts. Correspondences between neighboring residents provide the only additional detail. Surviving letters mention brief observations. The mother remained mostly confined to the dwelling. The children were pale, and visitors rarely entered. There is no record of official intervention, nor of the city's clergy recording baptisms or religious rites associated with the infants. The social invisibility of Mariah and her children is thus corroborated by multiple sources. The twins' existence, anomalous as noted by witnesses, did not extend beyond local awareness. No newspaper, official report, or public notice records the birth. Subsequent documents in the city archives do not reference the family. In reviewing midwife notes, city census revisions, and personal correspondences from the period, the presence of the twins remains peripheral, acknowledged only by those directly present in the basement at the time of birth. The city occupied a strategic position on the northwestern coast of the Black Sea, its port a hub for commerce extending from the Russian interior to the Mediterranean. Maps from the period indicate the city divided into several districts, with northern areas designated for trade, administration, and affluent residences, while southern quarters contained more densely packed housing for laborers, artisans, and marginalized populations. Streets were narrow and irregular, with cobblestones worn by years of traffic. Wooden dwellings, brick warehouses, and market stalls interspersed the urban fabric. Trade documentation from the Odessa Port Authority lists principal merchants, their shipments, and tax records. Among these, individuals such as Pyotr Ivanovich Smirnov, merchant of imported textiles, and Alexander Petrovich Lysenko, exporter of grain, feature prominently. Their activities centered in the northern and central districts, where commercial infrastructure supported warehouses, customs offices, and residences for senior clerks. These records contain dates, shipment details, and customs fees, showing a functioning, if uneven, urban economy. Daytime Odessa reflected this activity. Market logs, preserved in municipal archives, describe daily traffic at the Primorsky Bazaar. Stall owners recorded transactions for imported goods including spices, fabrics, and wine. Census documents corroborate the presence of diverse populations in these areas, including families of local merchants, foreign traders, and administrative staff. Streets were crowded, and city patrol logs indicate routine policing of the markets. Noise, movement, and commerce dominated the cityscape from sunrise until late afternoon. Nightfall presented a contrasting environment. Municipal inspection reports indicate that streets emptied after sunset. Lighting relied on oil lamps, whose presence is sporadica, LI noted in city planning documents. Accounts from surviving letters of residents describe cold streets, the faint sound of distant carts, and near silence in residential districts. Fires in domestic hearths provided warmth and occasional illumination, but many dwellings in southern quarters remained dark or poorly lit. Property registers indicate these buildings were often rented on short-term leases, with turnover high among laboring families. During this period, whispers regarding the birth of the twins began circulating. Surviving correspondences from southern quarter residents note unusual references to the pale children, or the woman with twins, without direct mention of names or locations. These letters, often undated but cross-referenced with postal markings, show gradual dissemination of knowledge. Rumors were transmitted orally, and in some instances briefly recorded in personal ledgers or diaries. While factual details are minimal, typically limited to the presence of twin infants in a southern dwelling, they indicate that the existence of the twins became a subject of social attention beyond immediate witnesses. The social hierarchy of Odessa influenced the spread of such information. Property owners, merchants, and local clergy held authority in civic and social matters. Municipal documents outline duties and jurisdictions of city inspectors, clergy, and merchants' councils. Clerical registers focused on baptisms, marriages, and deaths, yet no official record of the twins appears. Letters between clergy members, preserved in diocesan archives, mention reports of unusual births in peripheral districts, though these records omit specific identities. Merchants and property owners, referenced in tax and rent ledgers, interacted minimally with these families, reinforcing social separation. Documentation of principal figures connected to the southern quarter during this period is scarce. Maria Dubois is mentioned in census records as resident of house number 14 on Macabre Street. Tax ledgers indicate her household occupied the property from March 1871 through at least December 1873. No additional public documentation, including criminal registers or parish records, lists her or the twins. Correspondence among neighbours, preserved in private collections, describes the presence of a woman with twin daughters, confirming habitation without elaboration. A limited number of city officials appear in records regarding Southern Quarter oversight. Inspector Nikolai Andreevich Kolesnikov, listed in municipal employment rosters from 1872 to 1874, conducted periodic checks of tenant dwellings, as evidenced by inspection reports. His notes consistently remark on overcrowding, sanitation issues, and occasional structural deficiencies, but do not mention specific individuals by name. Similarly, clergy in the Southern District, including Father Mikhail Sergeyevich Petrov, recorded standard sacramental duties without reference to undocumented births. The twin infants' presence intersected with the city's culture of secrecy and caution. Correspondences between residents note that gossip filled gaps left by absent documentation. Letters describe the transmission of fragmented details, including references to the infants' unusual pallor, their mothers' constrained movements, and the community's tendency to avoid engagement. Archival materials indicate that these narratives were often inconsistent, with details altered or lost as stories passed orally. Economic activity and social patterns further shape the city's perception of such anomalies. Market ledgers, import records, and shipping manifests show that the daily life of Odessa was anchored in observable transactions and civic interactions. Anything outside this formal record, including undocumented births in marginalized districts, remained peripheral. Surviving letters from the Southern Quarter suggest residents were aware of the twins' presence but did not incorporate them into written registers, leaving the information confined to rumor. Historical maps of Odessa show that streets in the Southern Quarter were largely unpatrolled. Census enumerators documented households without entering all dwellings, leaving gaps in official knowledge. Building permits, lease agreements, and fire inspection reports confirm that dwellings were poorly monitored. As a result, events within these spaces were both socially and administratively invisible. Documented observations confirm that the existence of the twins contributed to a minor yet persistent narrative circulating among residents. Rumors acted as informal social regulators, transmitted through letters, verbal reports, and occasional ledger entries. No legal or religious enforcement records intersect with these accounts, emphasizing the twins' peripheral status. Odessa, 1873. The residence of Maria Dubois was documented in city records as house number 14 on Macabre Street, located in the Southern Quarter. The dwelling consisted of a two-story wooden structure with a brick foundation, noted in municipal building registries for occupancy beginning March 1871. Floor plans filed with the municipal office indicate 2 rooms on the ground floor, a small kitchen area at the rear, and a second floor with a single chamber used for sleeping. Windows faced the narrow street, fitted with wooden shutters. No additional documentation describes interior furnishings, although rental agreements list minimal provisions, including a basic hearth and wooden shelving. Prior to her arrival in Odessa, records of Maria's movements trace back across the Black Sea. Shipping manifests from the port of Odessa, dated February 1871, list the arrival of a passenger named Maria Dubois aboard the brig Evridica, departing from the port of Charleston, South Carolina. The ship's log notes passenger intake, including destination and accommodations. Maria's entry specifies a single adult female traveling without documented companions, recorded as passenger number 47. The vessel carried cargo alongside passengers, primarily cotton bales, iron hardware, and assorted household goods, consistent with transatlantic trade of the period. Charleston-based records indicate Maria's birthplace as the plantation of Robert and Elizabeth Thornton, located in the Low Country region of South Carolina. Property registries from the 1850s and 1860s document the plantation's geographic placement. Approximately 2 square miles, bordered by the Ashley River to the west, and cultivated fields to the east. Buildings included the main residence, a two-story wooden structure with a brick chimney, outbuildings for storage, livestock and slave quarters, and a series of fenced encloses. Ures. Contemporary maps confirm the plantation's layout, noting dense clusters of wooden dwellings situated near cultivated areas. Archaeological surveys conducted in the early 20th century corroborate the locations of these structures. Legal documents from Charleston courts, preserved in municipal archives, provide indirect references to Mariah's status. Records identify her in enumerations of enslaved individuals, noting age, physical description, and assigned labor duties. Registers describe scars on the back and arms, consistent with documented methods of corporal punishment. No personal narratives survive. Information is limited to administrative entries. These records indicate that Mariah remained under the jurisdiction of the plantation until the conclusion of hostilities during the American Civil War, with subsequent emancipation noted in federal documentation of 1865. Following the conclusion of the war, migration records list Mariah traveling along the eastern seaboard to the port city of New York, then onward to European vessels bound for Odessa. Port logs and ticket registers note her solitary travel and lack of accompanying documents for children. Survival depended upon minimal resources. Bills of lading list the purchase of basic foodstuffs and personal effects prior to embarkation. These records also include the dates of embarkation and arrival, confirming the transatlantic route and the duration of the voyage as approximately 6 weeks. Odessa's southern quarter offered residential options for individuals arriving with limited means. House number 14 was located within a densely populated area, with structures arranged along narrow lanes. Municipal inspections, documented in reports from 1872 to 1873, note that buildings in this area were prone to fire risk due to wooden construction and crowded spacing. The registry indicates that occupancy was high, with most houses hosting multiple families. Environmental records describe local conditions: a humid coastal climate with periodic snowfall in winter and dampness in poorly ventilated dwellings. Streets were paved with worn cobblestones. Drainage records indicate persistent water pooling after rainfall. Mariah's residence contained minimal modifications. Letters preserved in private collections, dated between March and December 1873, reference the placement of the twin sleeping arrangements in the single upstairs chamber. The letters note rudimentary bedding consisting of blankets and straw without further detail. Municipal fire inspection logs corroborate that the second floor had a single functional chimney flue, shared with the hearth on the ground floor, indicating limited ventilation and heating. Records of communal spaces in proximity to house number 14 include the Macabre market, approximately 3 blocks north. Municipal maps and tax records note market stalls for vendors selling produce, textiles, and household goods. Census enumerations identify the market as a hub of daily activity, yet inspection logs confirm streets emptied after dusk. Letters from residents indicate that nocturnal passage through the southern quarter was infrequent, with minimal interaction between households. Religious institutions near Mariah's residence included the Church of St. Nicholas, located roughly 5 blocks west. Parish registries confirm that clergy performed D-standard sacramental duties, yet no baptismal or birth entries correspond to the twins. Church maps describe a stone structure with a central nave, side aisles, and a small adjoining rectory. Letters between clergy note general parish oversight, but omit reference to unregistered births in surrounding households. Port and customs authorities documented maritime traffic, but did not record individual household arrivals in residential districts. House number 14 remained absent from municipal inspection reports regarding illegal occupancy or unusual activity. Letters preserved in private collections reference minimal observation from neighbors, typically noting the presence of Mariah and her daughters without specifying details. These records confirm that house number 14 functioned within the social and architectural fabric of the southern quarter, while its inhabitants remained largely undetected by official oversight. Environmental documentation indicates the southern quarter's proximity to industrial activity along the port. Shipping logs detail cargo handling and vessel movements, while municipal sanitation records note occasional debris accumulation in nearby streets. Noise measurements and observational notes from inspectors reference daytime activity, including loading of goods and the movement of carts. After nightfall, documentation consistently records streets as largely unoccupied. The combination of sparse municipal oversight, dense housing, and environmental factors created conditions conducive to unobserved habitation. Letters and correspondences corroborate that Mariah utilized the configuration of house number 14 to accommodate her children discreetly. No recorded incidents of property disputes, municipal citations, or formal complaints appear in the archives. Building permits confirm structural integrity during occupancy, without evidence of modifications intended. D. To conceal inhabitants. Spring of 1875. Records indicate that the twins had reached the age of 2, residing in a modest dwelling on the western edge of the city, near the narrow alleyways connecting the northern merchant quarter with the river docks. Official registries mark the property as belonging to one Eleanor Petrov, a widow of middling status, who rented the lower floor of her home to a family identified in census records solely by the surname of Marvin. No further personal records were filed concerning the inhabitants of this household, though municipal inspections note a growing pattern of unusual disturbances reported by neighbors. Several entries in the municipal ledger from April and May of 1875 document repeated complaints concerning irregular phenomena surrounding the property. A letter filed by the local grocer, Ivan Krasnov, dated April 12, 1875, describes the rapid decay of bread stored near the alleyway outside the residence. He noted that loaves left overnight exhibited marks of blackened mold in patterns not consistent with typical spoilage. A subsequent report, filed 2 days later by a blacksmith named Mikhail Orlov, documents the erratic behavior of a stray dog frequently observed near the alley. The animal would growl, retreat, and sometimes collapse without apparent cause upon approaching the house. On May 1, 1875, city records from the Odessa Candlemakers Guild document the observation of unusual flickering and extinguishing of candles in the homes adjacent to the alley. Guild inspectors, summoned at the request of Eleanor Petrov, recorded their findings in official minutes. Candles within the property and on adjoining windowsills guttered intermittently, despite absence of drafts, wind, or other recognized interference. The document remains in the municipal archive, catalogued under inspection case 1875-11. Neighbor correspondence preserved in the city's public. Record office further corroborates the emergence of fear among residents. A note from Antonina Shestak, dated May 7, 1875, addressed to the city magistrate states, "The children of the Marvins are spoken of in hushed tones. Animals avoid their presence. The bread in our bakery grows black as if burnt, though no fire touched it. I cannot remain ignorant of these events." The twins, identified in baptismal registers by the names Lydia and Mariana, are mentioned indirectly in these records. No direct observations of their actions were recorded, but municipal inspectors frequently included remarks regarding the unexplained alterations in immediate surroundings near their quarters. Official documents from the Odessa Health Commission, dated May 10, 1875, note that routine visits to the area revealed no evidence of disease or contamination that might explain the rapid decay of foodstuffs or the erratic behavior of animals. Church records from St. Nicholas Parish, maintained for the years 1875 to 1876, contain entries concerning intervention attempts. Reverend Dmitry Kovalenko conducted 3 separate visits to the alley in June of 1875, accompanied by acolytes and documented observers. Parish ledgers detail his presence as follows. The twins were observed from the threshold. Candles were lit and prayers recited. No overt disturbance noted within the dwelling. Neighbors report continuing unease. There is no record of further clerical action, though correspondence from the parish archives suggests ongoing concern regarding the household's impact on the surrounding neighborhood. City court documents from July 1875 report a minor petition by local residents requesting an investigation into the property's repeated disturbances. Official notation states, Petition filed concerning repeated and unexplained anomalies associated with 14 Western Alley. Householders requested to allow municipal inspection. Observations included abnormal candle extinguishing, rapid decay of consumables, and unusual animal behavior. Inspectors' subsequent reports confirm the complaints, yet no corrective measures were enacted, citing insufficient evidence of hazard beyond anecdotal observation. Residential maps of the era show that the alley itself was narrow, paved with worn cobblestones, and bordered by walls of varying height, forming a partial enclosure that created consistent shade and limited airflow. Architectural surveys from 1875 note that the buildings along the alley were of timber framing with plaster exteriors, and that the westernmost dwelling contained a sub-basement accessible via a trapdoor. City planners' records suggest that alleys such as this were often sites of informal storage and minor commercial activity, though no permits were recorded for such use at the Marvin residence. Official records make repeated reference to neighbor apprehension rather than direct interaction with the twins. Multiple letters filed in June and July 1875 describe small items, including candles, bread, and domestic utensils, as being affected by unknown causes within proximity to the household. Entries consistently identify the twins' residence as the center of these disturbances, but refrain from attributing action to specific individuals. By late summer, municipal reports indicate that the alley had gained a reputation among Odessa residents. Records note that foot traffic decreased significantly, and merchants reported fewer deliveries to the Western Quarter. A memorandum from the City Trade Office dated August 14, 1875 reads, "Observation confirms diminished commerce along Alley 14 Western Quarter. Residents express fear concerning unspecified anomalies. Inspection confirmed absence of structural or sanitary cause." These entries remain catalogued in municipal archives as official documentation of social effect without recorded attribution to personal agency. Notations in the Odessa Herald, preserved in the public library's 1875-1876 files, reference the neighborhood's growing notoriety. Articles describe residents' avoidance of the alley and record repeated accounts of children whose presence coincides with disturbances of ordinary matter. These entries reflect societal perception as documented, without commentary on causation. By autumn of 1875, church, municipal, and private records converged to present a consistent picture. The twins resided in a secluded section of the Western Quarter. Their presence correlated with repeated anomalies in food, lighting, and animal behavior, and neighbors expressed fear and avoidance. All records maintain a neutral, descriptive tone, recording phenomena as observed and documented by credible witnesses. No narrative of intent, emotion, or psychological state appears in the surviving documentation. Odessa, late autumn 1875. Surviving parish records indicate that the twins remained unbaptized at 2 years of age, residing in the Western Quarter property under the stewardship of Elena Petrov. Official notations from St. Nicholas Parish, dated November 3, 1875, document that Reverend Dmitry Kovalenko, accompanied by 2 acolytes and 1 deacon, visited the residence. The entry in the parish ledger reads, "Approach to the dwelling was made at 0900 hours. Occupants were identified as a woman of African descent and 2 minor female children. Demand for sacrament of baptism issued. Compliance refused. Departure at 0945 hours. Observed no additional persons within residence." Correspondence preserved in the Odessa Ecclesiastical Archive provides further detail. A letter from Kovalenko to the diocesan office, dated November 5, 1875, contains an account of the refusal. Despite instruction and solemn admonition, the occupant declined to present the children for baptism. Notations of concern for the spiritual welfare of minors recorded. Recommendation submitted for formal ecclesiastical censure. The letter is written on vellum, dimensions 32 by 20 centimeters, with ink partially faded but fully legible. Its provenance is traced to the diocesan office, where it remains catalogued under reference code DEA 1875-11. Following this correspondence, formal decrees were issued by the Odessa Consistory. A document dated November 12, 1875, enumerates the measures enacted. Denial of sacrament constitutes separation from parish registry. Occupant hereby recorded as non-compliant. Spiritual status of minors unregistered. Parish intervention ceased until compliance. The decree, a single folio of 34 by 21 centimeters, bears the inked signature of Archpriest Konstantin Yavorski and the official seal of the consistory. Physical inspection of the document confirms a preserved wax seal, par says, entirely chipped but identifiable, with recorded archival storage in the consistory's permanent holdings. Local municipal correspondence notes the effect of these ecclesiastical actions on neighborhood observation. Letters filed by residents, including merchant Ivan Krasnov and midwife Nadezhda Petrovna, document discussions among community members regarding the twins' unregistered status. Krasnov's letter, dated November 15, 1875, reads, "Rumors circulate that the children of the Marvins have been refused baptism. Several households express unease at their presence. Records of municipal observation remain unchanged, though church censure is noted." The letter, a single-page folio, measures 28 by 18 centimeters, ink-stable, and is preserved in the municipal archives under Code MUA 1975-23. Inspection reports filed by municipal authorities in the days following church intervention indicate heightened social tension. Reports from November 16th and November 20th, 1875, detail public gatherings in the Western Quarter. Observers noted that foot traffic through the alley decreased, merchants avoided deliveries to the adjacent shops, and street children refrained from play near the twins' residence. Each report specifies exact locations, dates, and participants in the observations. No report includes attribution of causation, merely the recording of actions and presence of residents. Physical artifacts connected to this period are limited but extant. Parish registers held in the Odessa Diocesan Library list the twins' birth as unrecorded, with marginal notes indicating denied baptism. A folio from these registers, measuring 33 by 22 centimeters, is composed of hand-laid paper inked in iron gall. Preservation status is noted as fair, with minor insect damage along the edges. Archival catalogue references these entries under ODL BR 1973-1875. Additional documentation includes a ledger entry from the consistory noting attempts to compel compliance. The ledger folio, dated November 18, 1875, records 2 visits conducted, occupant non-compliant. Parish registry remains unchanged, spiritual guidance extended through written decree. The ledger measures 40 by 25 centimeters, bound in leather, with gilt lettering now faded. Marginalia confirms the presence of one witness, acolyte Alexei Morozov, listed by full name and recorded roll. Letters between clergy, preserved in the same collection, detail community perception without conjecture. A November 19, 1875 letter from Father Alexei Zhukov to Archpriest Yavorski enumerates reports of local unrest. Residents express concern for spiritual and social stability. No physical disturbances recorded within the dwelling. Observations limited to neighborhood commentary and avoidance of proximate areas. The letter measures 30 by 19 centimeters, ink-stable, folded for dispatch, and catalogued as DEA C 1975-12. Contemporaneous municipal notices regarding the Western Quarter record the effect of ecclesiastical decrees on commerce and social mobility. Notices dated November 21st and 22nd, 1875, specify reduced delivery schedules to the alley, noting exact times, merchant names, and goods withheld. These notices, stamped with municipal seal, are preserved in the Odessa City Archive, catalogue number MUA N 1975-32. By late November, archival evidence indicates a marked division within the city's populace. Parish records, municipal observations, and private correspondence converge to show 3 distinct responses: adherence to religious authority, cautious avoidance of the Western Quarter, and sustained, if unrecorded, presence of the mother and twins. Each record maintains a neutral tone, documenting facts, dates, and participants without commentary on motives or intent. The Archive. Ultrail further notes the absence of baptismal certificates, parish registry entries, or any formal recording of the twins' spiritual status. Physical examination of extant registers confirms blank entries for both Lydia and Mariana Marvin. Marginal notations in the registers corroborate refusal of compliance, but provide no additional narrative. In sum, documents preserved from November 1875 establish the following: repeated visitation by clergy, formal refusal of sacrament, issuance of ecclesiastical decrees of non-compliance, neighborhood observation of altered social behavior, and complete absence of spiritual registration for the twins. Artifacts, including letters, folios, registers, and municipal notices, remain physically extant in municipal and diocesan collections. Their provenance is confirmed by archival catalogue numbers, documented signatures, seals, and preservation status notes. Collectively, these records document the systematic, factual proceedings undertaken by church and municipal authorities, the observable societal effects, and the preserved artifacts that serve as evidence of both action and inaction. No conjecture regarding personal motive or psychological state appears in the archival material. Odessa, early spring 1876. Records from the Odessa Medical Society indicate the arrival of Dr. Anton Makievich, formerly titled Physician of Experimental Medicine, to the Western Quarter on March 12, 1876. His engagement is documented in municipal and consistory correspondence, noting that he was contracted by local notables concerned with the twins' unrecorded and unusual status. Official letters specify Dr. Makievich arrived under municipal permit to examine minors of the Marvin household, authorized to conduct observations and record findings. Duration of observation noted as 1 month unless otherwise directed. The letter, penned on 28 by 20 centimeter vellum, bears signatures of Magistrate Pavel Ivanov and Archpriest Konstantin Yavorsky. The original resides in the Odessa Municipal Archive. Catalogue Code OMA 1976-03. Makiewicz's initial report, dated March 14, 1876, describes the methodology of observation. The document, a journal of 12 pages, outlines daily recordings of the twins' physical condition, pulse, respiration, and reflex responses. Observations were conducted in the presence of one municipal clerk, Petrov Semyon, and the household matron, Elena Petrov. The journal notes repeated instances of concurrent reactions, simultaneous hand movements, synchronized blinking, and mirrored motor responses. All entries are recorded without commentary beyond measurable data. The journal's pages measure 25 by 18 centimeters. Ink remains legible, though later entries after March 22nd are noted as missing in an archival annotation. Municipal records corroborate the disappearance of the latter portion of Makiewicz's journal. A formal notice dated April 1, 1876, submitted by Clerk Petrov, states, "Portions of physician's journal missing. Pages 9 to 12 not recovered. Search conducted within dwelling and immediate premises without recovery. No witnesses to removal observed. Record filed for municipal reference." The notice, 30 by 19 centimeters, includes a stamped seal of the municipal office and is preserved in original condition, catalogued OMA N 1976-14. Contemporaneous documentation notes the twins' physiological anomalies. Measurements of heart rate, pulse, and respiration were conducted with instruments recorded in Dr. Makiewicz's inventory list. On March 16, 1876, the log records. Both subjects exhibit heart rates within 0.3 beats per minute of one another under resting conditions. Measurements taken with mercury sphygmomanometer and mechanical stethoscope, observed by Petrov Semyon. No further commentary provided. Instruments were catalogued with serial numbers and stored under municipal supervision, as confirmed in the Odessa Museum of Medical Instruments, Item Nos, OMMI, 1876-21-24. Dr. Makiewicz's observations included environmental recordings. He maintained a ledger, March 13th to 23rd, documenting minor anomalies, candle flames flickering without draft, liquids displaced slightly from resting vessels, and local animals avoiding the immediate vicinity of the twins. All entries adhere to descriptive reporting, listing date, time, observer, and measurement method. No interpretive remarks or conjecture regarding cause were included. Ledger folios measure 26 by 19 centimeters, ink remains stable, pages catalogued OMIL 10876-07. Letters exchanged between Dr. Makiewicz and colleagues detail procedural observations. A letter to Dr. Leonid Kravchenko, dated March 20, 1876, notes, "Subjects respond in identical sequence to tactile stimuli, observed on 3 separate occasions. No instruments indicate variation outside 0.2 centimeters or 0.3 beats per minute. Record maintained per municipal request. Journal pages 9 to 12 presently under review. Missing entries noted." The letter is a single folio, 28 by 18 centimeters, ink intact, with archival. Reference DEAC 1976-05. Social documentation surrounding the twins' observation indicates the municipal and ecclesiastical structure's indirect involvement. Correspondence dated March 22, 1876, between Archpriest Yavorsky and Magistrate Ivanov outlines oversight protocols. Physician to maintain daily records. Presence of 1 municipal clerk required during observation. Ecclesiastical officials to be notified of all events that may impinge upon moral or spiritual guidance. Compliance with civic and religious regulations mandatory. The letter measures 32 by 21 centimeters, preserved with original wax seal, catalogue, OMAL 11876-09. Public perception of the twins during Makiewicz's engagement is documented in municipal complaint registers. Entries dated March 18, 1876 through March 25, 1876 note that local merchants, residents and parishioners reported unease near the western quarter. Reports specify exact locations, names and times of observation. Merchant Ivan Krasnov, present at 1400 hours, noted avoidance of alley. Midwife Nadezhda Petrovna, observed at 1530 hours, recorded anomalous behavior of domestic animals in vicinity. Each report adheres to formal notation of facts, participants, and time, without elaboration on causation or sentiment. Documents preserved in OMA R 1876-22. Dr. Makiewicz's final report, dated March 30, 1876, summarizes documented findings. Subjects maintain mirrored motor responses. Heart and pulse measurements recorded concurrently. Environmental observations logged daily. Journal pages 9 to 12 missing. No explanation recorded. All measurements confirmed by municipal observer. Records filed with Odessa Medical Society and Municipal Office. The report comprises 18 folios. Dimensions 25 by 18 centimeters. Ink stable. Catalogued OMS 1976-03. Archival evidence indicates that municipal and ecclesiastical structures jointly maintained oversight during this period. Letter S. Notices and journal entries demonstrate that observations were conducted under documented authority, with presence of municipal clerks ensuring adherence to city ordinances regarding child welfare, public order, and compliance with social norms. No documentation exists suggesting deviations from these structures, nor is there recorded interpretation beyond measurable, observable data. Laws and regulations in effect at the time, as cited in municipal and consistory correspondence, required supervision of minors whose baptismal and parish status was unregistered. Municipal Code 1873, Section 4, Article 12, mandates that children lacking formal parish recognition be reported to civil authorities for oversight. Ecclesiastical Code, Canon 217, Section 3, specifies monitoring of unbaptized children by clergy and local officials. Archival cross-referencing confirms that these statutes were adhered to in Makiewicz's engagement. References to these codes appear in Correspondence DEAC 1976-05 and Municipal Notice OMAN 1976-14. By the conclusion of March 1876, documentation establishes several verifiable facts. Dr. Makiewicz conducted daily observation of the twins under municipal oversight. Mirrored and synchronous physiological behaviors were recorded. Environmental anomalies were logged. Portions of the physician's journal disappeared, and municipal and ecclesiastical authorities maintained structured oversight in accordance with existing laws. Artifacts, including journal folios, correspondence, instruments, and municipal reports, remain extant in Odessa archives. Each artifact includes detailed provenance, dimensions, and preservation status. Odessa, late autumn 1876. Municipal and ecclesiastical records document an event on November 3, 1876, involving the twins in the vicinity of the Cathedral of St. Nicholas. A letter from Archpriest Konstantin Yavorsky to the Bishop of Odessa, dated November 4, 1876, reports, "At approximately 15:30 hours, the subjects were observed near the western entrance of the cathedral. Bells tolled in rapid succession, absent of manual operation. Witnesses identified, 3 cathedral attendants and a municipal constable. No mechanical cause discernible." The original folio measures 32 by 21 centimeters, ink intact, catalogued in the Odessa Ecclesiastical Archive, OEA 1876-11. Complementary municipal records include a report filed by Constable Mikhail Dorofeyev, dated November 3, 1876, 1600 hours. Witnessed 2 miners near cathedral steps. Following approach, all 6 bells rang without bell ringers present. Congregants gathered, dispersing in visible agitation. Observed behavior recorded without interference. No individuals identified as responsible. The report, written on a 28 by 18 centimeter folio, remains preserved in original condition. OMA R 1876-47. Additional corroboration appears in a letter from Cathedral Attendant Pavel Kirev to Archpriest Yavorsky, dated November 4, 1876. The bell's chains remained fixed. Inspection after tolling revealed no disruption to mechanisms. No employee approached the bell tower. Subjects departed vicinity immediately following occurrence. Public attention remained high. Dispersal occurred spontaneously. The letter, single folio, 30 by 19 centimeters, maintained in the Odessa Municipal Correspondence Archive, OMCA 1976-21. Citizen testimony is also recorded in the Municipal Grievance Register. Entry number 176, filed by merchant Ivan Krasnov on November 3, 1876, 16:30 hours. Documents. Observed 2 miners near cathedral. Bells tolled VO. Lently. Witnessed crowd agitation. Animals in vicinity displayed unusual behavior, retreating from location. Event lasted approximately 5 minutes. No intervention occurred. Statement provided as record. The entry is preserved in original ledger form, dimensions 26 by 19 centimeters, catalogued OMA G 1876-16. A subsequent communication, dated November 5, 1876, from Archpriest Yavorsky to Municipal Magistrate Pavel Ivanov, addresses citizen concern. Following observed phenomena near cathedral, municipal authorities requested review of bell mechanisms. Inspections conducted by engineer Vasily Petrov and bell ringer Fyodor Milov. No mechanical irregularities identified. Noted that 2 miners were present during all events. Municipal and ecclesiastical oversight recommends continued observation. The correspondence is a single folio, 31 by 20 centimeters, archived OMAL 1976-33. Parallel entries in Dr. Anton Makiewicz's notes, dated November 3, 1876, record observation of the twins during cathedral proximity. Subjects approached cathedral steps. Bells tolled without manual intervention. Repeated measures of pulse and respiration taken by municipal clerk Dorofeyev. Heart rates remained synchronized. No additional physical anomalies noted aside from environmental perturbation. All observations recorded contemporaneously. Journal pages measure 25 by 18 centimeters. Catalogue OMMI J 1976-12. Ink remains legible. Pages preserved with minor wear at edges. Further municipal correspondence dated November 6, 1876, outlines actions taken in response to citizen concern. Clerks and constables assigned to monitor subjects during daylight hours. Notification issued to household of subjects regarding municipal observation. Public statements requested to avoid speculation. Record maintained in municipal office. Observation period authorized to continue for 2 weeks. Folio dimension: 30 by 19 centimeters, ink stable, preserved Omei N 1876-52. Letters between Archpriest Yavorsky and Bishop Ivan Markov, dated November 7, 1876, record ecclesiastical deliberation regarding spiritual intervention. The subject's presence near sacred site constitutes concern. Congregation reports heightened fear. Bell anomaly documented by multiple witnesses. Consideration advised for direct engagement with guardians. Recommendations to proceed under parish authority pending bishopric approval. Letters preserved in original, folios 32 by 21 centimeters, catalogue, OEAC 1976-18. Citizen complaint logs include entry from midwife Nadezhda Petrovna, filed November 3, 1876, 16:45 hours. Witnessed subject's approach to cathedral. Noted environmental disturbances, flickering lights, minor items displaced near steps. Observed congregants reacted with alarm. No individuals intervened. Report submitted for municipal record. Ledger measures 26 by 19 centimeters, ink intact. Catalogue, OMA G 1976-17. Observational records also include documented crowd interactions. Clark Dorofeev's notation, November 3, 1876, 16:15 hours, reads, crowd numbering approximately 25 gathered near steps. Subjects remained present for 3 minutes. Bell tolling observed without physical operation. Congregants dispersed following toll cessation. No physical contact initiated by subjects or attendees. Event logged as witnessed fact. Ledger page preserved, 25 by 18 centimeters, catalogue, OMA R 1976-48. In parallel, municipal registers contain a brief report of preparatory measures. Notification issued to household of subjects to remain within vicinity of dwelling until further instruction. Constables assigned to monitor comings and goings. Report submitted to Archpriest Yavorsky for ecclesiastical review. Dated November 4, 1876. Folio dimensions 30 by 19 centimeters. Archival reference OMAN 1876-53. Subsequent letters from the Bishop's Office, dated November 8, 1876, detail the escalation of ecclesiastical concern. Congregants report repeated disturbances. Subjects' guardians informed of parish censure. Recommendation for direct intervention prepared pending municipal sanction. Archival copy retained. Folio 32 by 21 centimeters, catalogued OEA L 1976-20. Additional municipal and ecclesiastical documentation confirms observation of twin-associated phenomena near cathedral as a coordinated record. Reports, letters, and journal entries collectively establish dates, times, locations, participants, and outcomes, without commentary on motives or interpretation. All records adhere to official notation standards of the Odessa Municipal and Ecclesiastical Archives. The cumulative archival record indicates the following. On November 3, 1876, the twins' presence near the Cathedral of St. Nicholas coincided with tolling of bells without physical operation. Witnesses included municipal constables, cathedral attendants, and local citizens. Observations were contemporaneously documented in municipal reports, letters, and Dr. Makiewicz's journal. Subsequent oversight by municipal authorities and ecclesiastical officials ensured continuous recording and monitoring. All entries preserved in original condition, catalogued under referenced archival codes. No record exists that interprets the events beyond observable phenomena. Correspondences, logs, and reports strictly note interactions, communications, and recorded anomalies. Preservation status of each record is documented in archive inventories, confirming continued availability for reference without material loss. Odessa, winter 1876. Municipal and ecclesiastical records identify December 12, 1876, as the date of the forced removal of the twins from their residence at 14 Velika Arnautska Street. Archpriest Konstantin Yavorsky submitted a formal report to Bishop Ivan Markov on December 13, 1876, documenting, at approximately 2030 hours, a coordinated party of ecclesiastical personnel and municipal constables entered the subject dwelling. Presence of 2 female minors confirmed. Intervention executed without prior notice to guardians. Guardianship presence absent. No injuries recorded among personnel. Subjects removed from domicile under escort. Original folio measures 32 by 21 centimeters. Catalogued in the Odessa Ecclesiastical Archive, OEA, 1876-12. Corroborating municipal documents include Constable Mikhail Dorofeyev's official report, submitted December 13, 1876. Units assigned to 14 Velika Arnautska at 225 hours. Entry executed using municipal authorization granted by Archpriest Yavorsky. 2 minors observed in situ. Removal conducted under supervision of 4 constables and 3 parish assistants. Items documented in situ, including minimal personal belongings. No recorded civilian interference. Subjects relocated from household by 250 hours. Event logged without incident. Ledger preserved in Odessa Municipal Archive. OMAR 1876-59. Witness correspondence presents a divergent record. Letter from neighbor Ivan Sokolov, dated December 13, 1876, 2300 hours, states, audible commotion at approximately 2230 hours. Observed lights extinguished suddenly. Voices of unidentified men within dwelling. No visual confirmation of minors' extraction. Subsequent silence maintained. Event noted in personal ledger. Letter dimensions 28 by 19 centimeters. Preserved. OMA G 1876, 28. Additional testimony is recorded in midwife Nadezhda Petrovna's account, filed December 14, 1876, 0900 Urs. Heard subjects' names called from within dwelling. Observed multiple men entering through side door. Doors secured after departure. Subjects no longer present upon daylight inspection. Maternal figure absent. Statement provided to municipal authorities for record only. Ledger measures 26 by 19 centimeters. OMA G 1876-29. Archival correspondence between Archpriest Yavorsky and Bishop Markov, dated December 15, 1876, provides ecclesiastical perspective. Removal executed per prior consultation. No parish registers contain record of subject's baptism. Guardianship absent during execution. Observed by municipal constables. No parishioner interference documented. Event logged in diocesan ledger. Folios 32 by 21 centimeters. Catalogue. OEAC, or 1876-21. Dr. Anton Mikiovich's medical notes include a notation on December 12, 1876. Subjects absent upon attempt at evening observation. Environmental check conducted at dwelling. No signs of disturbance beyond forced entry recorded. Personal effects of minor subjects preserved for municipal verification. Journal entries detailing prior observation were last recorded November 30, 1876. Subsequent entries appear removed or missing. Preservation of remaining material noted in archival summary. Journal page dimensions 25 by 18 centimeters. Catalogue, OMMI J 1976-14. Municipal authorization documents verify legal and procedural parameters for intervention. Dated December 10, 1876, signed by Archpriest Yavorsky and Municipal Clerk Pavel Ivanov. Authority granted for ecclesiastical and municipal units to take custody of minor subjects at 14 Velika Arnautska Street. Guardianship presence absent at time of execution is acknowledged. Removal for ecclesiastical oversight only. Event to be documented formally in municipal ledger. Folio 31 by 20 centimeters. Preserved. OMAN 1976-57. Reports indicate that following the extraction, immediate inspection of the residence revealed no remaining traces of the maternal figure. Constable Dorofeyev's follow-up report, December 13, 1876, 1000 hours. Dwelling inspected at 0930 hours. No adult figure present. Minor belongings absent. Interior secured. Neighboring observations recorded as per prior ledger entries. Event logged without supplementary commentary. Folio dimensions 30 by 19 centimeters. Archival reference OMA R 1-1876-60. Divergent accounts appear in citizen correspondence. Letter from merchant Ivan Krasnov, December 13, 1876, 10:30 hours reads, heard accounts of exorcism performed within household, details unverified, subsequent silence maintained at location, subjects reportedly removed, no visual confirmation obtained. Ledger 26 by 19 centimeters, preserved OMA G 1-1876-30. Similarly, clerical reports reference a variety of unverified observations. Post-removal inspection noted extinguished candle flames, minor disarray in household objects. No further anomalies documented by attending personnel. All actions noted in formal record. Entry logged December 13, 1876, 1100 hours, folio 28 by 19 centimeters. Catalogue OMA R 1876-61. Municipal and ecclesiastical correspondence further confirms the removal and the subsequent absence of the maternal figure. Following execution of removal, residence remains unoccupied by guardians. Parish registers reflect no baptismal entry. Municipal monitoring discontinued due to absence of subjects. Event archived under OEA 1876-12 and OMAR 1876-59. Dated December 16, 1876, folio 32 by 21 centimeters. An additional municipal summary, December 17, 1876, consolidates the known facts. 2 minor subjects removed from 14 Velika Arnautska Street at approximately 2030 hours, December 12, 1876. Removal supervised by ecclesiastical authority and municipal constables. Mater. Null figure absent. Residence inspected post-removal. No further occupants observed. Parish records contain no baptismal entry. Witness reports vary in detail. All events logged without speculation or interpretation. All records maintained in archival condition. Folio 31 by 20 centimeters. OMA N 1876-58. Between the winter of 1877 and the spring of 1879, Odessa experienced a documented series of disruptive events that were recorded across municipal, medical, and ecclesiastical archives. Municipal fire ledgers indicate an unusual frequency of incidents during this period. On February 3, 1877, at 04:15 hours, a fire was reported at 22 Preobrazhenskaya Street. The municipal fire brigade responded promptly. No casualties were recorded. The cause remained undetermined. Over the following months, 12 additional fires occurred in residential and commercial districts, all noted as having no clear origin. Each incident was logged with precise times, responding personnel and locations, and the records were preserved in folios measuring 29 by 20 centimeters. No subsequent official explanation was recorded, and the events were catalogued strictly in a factual manner. Medical registers maintained by the Odessa Public Health Bureau for 1877 record an increase in febrile illnesses and gastrointestinal complaints in urban districts adjacent to Velika Arnautska Street. The registers documented patient initials, ages, admission and discharge dates, treatment protocols, and outcomes. For instance, on March 12, 1877, patient MK, age 34, was admitted with fever, nausea, and dehydration. Treatment included oral hydration and isolation. Recovery was recorded on March 21, 1877. Similar entries detail 23 additional patients over 6 months. No definitive causative agent was recorded, and all treatment procedures were noted in strict clinical terms. Each entry was preserved as written, with no editorialization or inferred causation. Food scarcity during winter 1878 is documented in municipal provisioning ledgers. On December 5, 1878, wheat allocations for public bakeries were reduced from 60 barrels to 40 barrels, serving 3,200 residents. The ledger attributes the reduction to clement weather and delayed shipments at the port. Quantities, dates, population served, and responsible officials were recorded with exactitude. Folios, measuring 31 by 21 centimeters, remain preserved. These records indicate that the city's administration acted according to observable metrics, without commentary on potential social consequences. Ecclesiastical correspondence from Archpriest Konstantin Yavorsky to Bishop Ivan Markov, dated February 14, 1877, details ongoing efforts to suppress rumor concerning the removed subjects. Parishioners were instructed to refrain from recording or discussing the events. Clerical staff were directed to report deviations, and these instructions were maintained as confidential records. The effectiveness of these measures was not assessed beyond noting the preservation of reports. A separate letter dated December 19, 1878, reiterates the absence of parish records regarding the twins and confirms the continued archiving of these instructions. Citizen diaries provide corroborative evidence of oral transmission despite clerical suppression. Merchant Ivan Krasnov recorded on March 7, 1877, that stories concerning 14 Velika Arnautska Street persisted in private conversation, despite admonitions from church authorities. Midwife Nadezhda Petrovna noted on March 12, 1877, that whispered recollections of previous disturbances continued within households. Both diaries remain preserved in folios measuring 25 to 26 by 18 to 19 centimeters. These entries provide factual records of observations without interpretation of motives or psychological state. Municipal inspections report the residence at 14 Velika Arnautska Street as uninhabited. Constable Mikhail Dorofeyev noted on January 18, 1878, that the property had been vacant for 12 months, with no observed occupancy and minimal neighborhood activity. Subsequent fire incidents occurred near the former residence, April 7, 1878, at 12 Velika Arnautska, and September 16, 1878, at 16 Velika Arnautska. Both events were logged in municipal ledgers, causes undetermined, with response units dispatched. Each entry specifies precise dates, locations, and responses, and no causal connection to residents or prior events was recorded. Dr. Anton Makievich documented that he had no access to the twins after December 1876. His journals, preserved as folios measuring 25 by 18 centimeters, record environmental surveys of the former residence, noting the absence of material evidence. Journal entries prior to December 1876 are preserved. Subsequent entries regarding the twins are absent. Archival verification confirms the integrity of these records. Municipal correspondence also notes isolated reports of public unrest, quarrels, and minor disturbances. A letter from the city council clerk dated June 2, 1878, records citizen complaints concerning fires, scarcity, and perceived anomalies in supply distribution. All correspondence is preserved without attribution of causation, maintaining a strict record of observable events. Despite official measures, oral recollections persisted. Diaries, letters, and reports indicate that narratives concerning the twins continue to circulate within households and social networks, though no formal evidence substantiated their existence. By spring 1879, municipal and ecclesiastical records converge on documentation of sustained absence. Municipal records note that no further incidents were directly attributable to the subjects. The residence remained unoccupied, and parish registers contained no baptismal entries. Ecclesiastical summaries confirm that the subjects were not recorded in any sacramental records. Oral accounts were noted as anecdotal and preserved solely as reference. Between 1880 and 1895, multiple archival sources document continued observation and report of two unidentified female figures matching the description of the previously removed subjects. Municipal police ledgers note several instances of reported sightings. On June 14, 1881, Officer Pavel Doronin recorded in his patrol journal that two pale female figures were observed standing at the pier near the Odessa harbor at 2100 hours. Both individuals were noted to be of slight build, appearing between 7 and 10 years of age, with identical hair coloration and pallor. The report specifies that the figures remained stationary for approximately 15 minutes before disappearing. Subsequent entries on July 21st, 1882 and September 3rd, 1884 similarly describe fleeting observations of two young female figures on Arnautska Street and near the city walls, respectively. Each record includes precise times, locations, and the names of reporting officers. No official identification of the subjects was possible, and reports were logged strictly in observable terms. Travel journals preserved in the Odessa Historical Society record additional encounters. Merchant Sergei Ivanovich, passing through Odessa in March 1885, noted in his diary that two young girls appeared at dawn near the city docks. Ivanovich recorded the time, date, and weather conditions. Misty with low visibility. Temperature approximately 8 degrees Celsius. He described the girls as motionless for several minutes before they vanished. No corroborating evidence of their identity is included beyond the observations themselves. Similarly, traveller Margaret Ellison, writing in July 1887, described seeing two identical young girls on Velika Arnautska Street in the early evening. Her diary entries are preserved in folio volumes measuring 28 by 19 centimeters. Both travel accounts are catalogued without editorial commentary, retaining a strictly factual, chronological record of observations. Ecclesiastical documentation confirms continued awareness of public discourse surrounding the subjects. In August 1883, the parish registrar, under instruction from Archpriest Konstantin Yavorsky, recorded reports of unexplained gatherings near the old residence at 14 Velika Arnautska Street. Parish correspondence indicates that the church maintained an ongoing policy of non-recording, emphasizing the absence of sacramental entries and reiterating that no formal baptism or recognition of the subjects occurred. Letters from Bishop Ivan Markov to parish officials dated November 2, 1884, reaffirmed that all prior records were to remain archived but unmodified. Copies of these letters are preserved in ecclesiastical ledgers measuring 30 by 21 centimeters, with archival verification confirming their provenance. Additional records indicate that private citizen accounts continued to circulate, recorded in diaries and correspondence. Merchant Ivan Krasnov's journal notes that neighbors in 1886 reported sightings in alleyways near the harbor. Similarly, midwife Nadezhda Petrovna documented that small groups of citizens claimed to have glimpsed identical young females at various city edges between 1882 and 1888. All entries are catalogued with dates, locations, and observer initials. No identity verification was possible. Diaries remain preserved in original bindings and were archived without modification. Physical artifacts associated with the subjects are limited. Municipal property registers confirm that 14 Velika Arnautska Street remained vacant following the removal of the twins. Inspections conducted between 1880 and 1890 recorded structural stability and lack of occupancy. Property surveys, including measurements, floor plans, and environmental observations, remain preserved in folio volumes, measuring 31 bt, by 21 centimeters. No material evidence linking the later sightings to the original subjects was documented. Scientific documentation by Dr. Anton Makievich confirms that following December 1876, no clinical or observational data could be recorded regarding the twins. Dr. Makiewicz's preserved journals from 1880 to 1888 note the absence of access to the subjects. Observational records include environmental notes on city areas where sightings were reported, but contain no direct measurements or physiological data on the subjects themselves. Journals are archived in their original folios, with pages intact and verified by the Odessa Historical Society. Municipal and ecclesiastical authorities maintained a strict archival policy. Fire registers, public health records, and city council correspondence spanning 1880 to 1895 provide indirect context for the ongoing presence of the subjects. Reports of anomalies or unusual occurrences in the city, including minor fires, disappearances, or unaccounted disturbances, were noted with dates, times, and locations. These records consistently refrain from attributing cause or motivation, maintaining a clinical, third-person perspective. All relevant folios are preserved in original condition. Oral traditions persisted alongside these archival records. Folk accounts, referenced in municipal and ecclesiastical correspondence, indicate that stories of two pale sisters remained present in local memory. While anecdotal, these accounts were documented with observer names, approximate dates, and general locations. Municipal authorities did not incorporate oral narratives into official records, but the archives contain notes acknowledging their circulation. Preservation of these references is verified across multiple ledgers, confirming both their existence and the city's continued attention to the phenomenon. By 1895, the archival record consolidates multiple strands: official municipal observation, ecclesiastical instruction, citizen diaries, travises, journals, and property surveys. The subjects are consistently described as two young, pale female figures appearing in various parts of Odessa. Locations include 14 Velika Arnautska Street, surrounding alleys, the harbour, and city outskirts. Observers include municipal officers, citizens, and travellers. Dates are recorded with precision, spanning from 1880 through 1895. Actions include standing, moving briefly, and vanishing. No identity verification or material connection to prior residence was recorded. All entries were maintained without commentary or interpretation, ensuring archival neutrality. Archival summary: surviving records consist of municipal ledgers, ecclesiastical correspondence, travel diaries, citizen journals, and property surveys. Folios remain intact, with verified dates, observers, and locations. Material artifacts associated with the subjects are absent, though documentation of observed presence is consistently maintained. Preservation status is confirmed, and all records are accessible for verification. No gaps or modifications beyond those noted are present in the archival chain. The completeness of the record allows for a factual account of continued observation, independent of interpretive or dramatized narrative. The archival legacy of the subjects demonstrates that, although physical evidence is absent, their presence persisted in both official and private records. Observations of identical female figures continue across multiple independent sources, corroborating repeated, verifiable accounts. Ecclesiastical and municipal documentation preserves both the deliberate non-recording of sacramental data and the recording of external observation, establishing a dual archival framework. Oral traditions, while unverified materially, are acknowledged as circulating alongside official records. Though the mother vanished and the city sought to erase all memory, the twins remained traces of their existence embedded in folklore, archived letters, and the whispered accounts of travelers. Odessa's history carries their shadow, a reminder that truth cannot always be contained. If you found this story unsettling and compelling, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to uncover more forgotten chronicles. Share in the comments which hidden history you would want us to explore next, and step closer to the mysteries that time tried to bury.